Okay. Hi, hello everyone. Welcome to the Creator Metaphysical Store. Today we're going to be talking about my life's journey, and I feel like I need to get this off my chest. It's been a work in progress. I'm not going to lie, I'm not a perfect human being, but I can see why I've gone through the things I've gone through. And we'll go over that in this video today. But I want to start from the very beginning, from when I was born, till now. That way, you guys have a complete biography of my life and what I've been through, and so you can understand, what it is that I have been through. So, I was born to Kelly Jean Curry, and I don't remember much about her from the beginning, but I do remember that we used to live on a farm, like a farm-like setting, and we had horses, all kinds of stuff. And I remember my sister and my oldest sister as well. And at the time, my mom was very loving and kind. And when I don't know why, but I do know that DCF became involved. I know that me and my brother used to be like troublemakers, and which is kind of putting it mildly. My mother said that I would be the one to tell Jesus um, that he's going to get in trouble, the consequences, and what he's doing is wrong, and then I would follow him into trouble, and which is weird. It's kind of like the Castor and Pollux story, where Castor would be like, "Yo, Pollux, hey, you're not supposed to be trying to get up in that woman's bedroom like that." But he's like, "All right, I'm going to help you anyway because I'm going to, your brother, blah blah, right?" So, and it's like that. I kind of like, even though he was going to get in trouble, I still followed him because I loved him. And excuse me 1 minute. Um, I know that I hate to have to admit this, but according to what my mother has said, is one time we smeared our feces all over our walls, and she made us clean it up ourselves. And apparently, we never did that again. She even made mention that we used to like tear the mattresses apart, like stuffing and all. And she made I personally would like to not believe that, but I'm only going based off her accounts on the situation. I don't even know if we did or didn't do that, which I don't remember doing that, but it's okay. Um, so eventually DCF became involved, and I don't remember why DCF became involved. But my mother had to fight for her children. She managed to successfully acquire our two older sisters, and however, she had lost everything, and she was financially drained, spiritually, mentally exhausted, and emotionally exhausted, and she was in debt. So she couldn't fight for us to get us back. So we ended up being in foster care. And I was really angry because I didn't want to leave. And I always felt that DCF was the bad guy, and that at the time, I just felt like they were ripping our family apart for no reason whatsoever. Um, At least that's how I felt at the time. Um, there is a part of me that still is angry because, when they got involved, everything in my life fucking went to hell. Like, it was very hard for me. I used to. I was told that apparently they tried to take us away when we were like babies, and according to DCF, but that didn't work out. So they basically were trying to take us away from our mother and father for a very long time. And this time, when we were about 6, they successfully succeeded, right? So it's very frustrating because I feel that if it wasn't for them, my life wouldn't have been such a horrible life. So I do have a lot of shadow work there that I have to still deal with. And at the same time, I also recognize that I made my own choices. So that I had my own personal part in this, in the whole grand scheme of things, right? Um, so when we were 6, I remember a bunch of times me and my brother would try to escape, and we'd go and try to go back to our mother's house. And long story short, we would always be returned back, unfortunately. And we gave up eventually because we thought we were no longer loved by our mother and our stepdad, Francisco Reyes Sr. And I believe my mother turned bitter because I feel like a part of her blames us for her losing everything. And, logically, it would be logical to accept that blame, but at the same time, on the emotional side, she had her own part to play with. So I have to say, like, it's not technically all our fault. It's not all my fault. It's not my brother's fault. We all had our own part to play, and I see that. So eventually, at the age of 6, we were adopted by our, which would, I'm not going to name their first name, but their names were Mr. and Mrs. Steinleitner. Um, so I was still a very angry child. I'm not proud of what I'm about to say, but I used to beat up on my adopted mother and give her bruises and stuff. I even broke a lot of items that were either gifts or not mine to begin with. And um, I did try to burn the house down a few times. Um, though I will admit that I was possessed by a demon at one point in time, and when I did try to burn the house, especially the second time, that was the demonic possession talking, right? But the first time I felt like, fuck it all. And no one loves me. Might as well take it down a few evil motherfuckers with me, right? So I tried to basically burn my sneakers. But what was interesting was, as I was a coward. I never fully went through with any of my plans of death, and it's fucking frustrating because I don't want to be a coward, right? Um, I used to. There was a time when I tried to overdose on my own medication. At the time, I was taking Western medicine, big pharma, right? And I tried to overdose multiple times and unsuccessful, unfortunately. I've been through abusive relationship with my adopted parents. There were unusual punishments that I wouldn't even do to my own child if I do have children or adopt children. But they would make me stand out in the rain, naked, sometimes just in my underwear, and then they would take me and have me basically. One time I ended up falling asleep standing up in the rain. Um, but they would like make me dry off with the fan, or maybe cold winds. And it was just weird because you know, my total belief would be I would never do that to my child as a punishment, to make them sleep out in the rain and stand out there. And there'd be times where they basically would put books on my head or a pencil or whatnot. And if I was to move, and sometimes I'd have to stand on one leg, right? They would make me stand on one leg, and I had to carry books. And um, sorry. Um, and if I were to move a muscle, or the books would slightly, just ever so slightly, be moved, they would hit me. And I hate that. I would never do that to my own child, much less someone else's child. And I don't understand why I was always considered the evil child. Um, Jesus would always get praised and worshipped, and then I would be left with all the nasty. And so I would retaliate. I really, as a child, of course, you're gonna fucking retaliate and rebel because, you know, I don't know. Just for me, I retaliated. I rebelled, and that's why most of the time I'd end up beating up on my mother or trying to beat my father. Of course, my father always won because he was all big and muscly. But still, you know, I just, it's just very difficult. They tried multiple times to send me to different group homes. I guess would be the case. Behavioral centers. There was this one time where I was sent to Devereaux, and I later discovered that my mother and father basically left me there. That fucking pissed me off. They basically dropped me off there and left with my twin brother, and I thought I was just going to be there for the day, blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't like that. It pissed me off. And I tried winning a race several times, and of course, it wasn't successful. Um, there was a time when I was sent to some, I guess, behavioral group home in St. Augustine, Florida, and I was raped there. And honestly, if I had to tell them how I feel, I would probably say at that time, I would have said that I hate you. I mean, there's a part of me that hates you. But now, if I had to say this to them to their face, is that I not only hate you, I love you, and I will forgive you for what you've put me through because there's no point in holding on to anger and rage and hatred and the desire to get revenge and make your life a living hell. Because there is no point. It's um so I there was a time in my life where I had a discussion with my adoptive parents. I told them that what I felt like they didn't love me. They didn't really care about me. All they cared about was worshiping my brother and how he was the good child, and that I wanted to leave their care. And I told them flat out, I don't want you to be my parents anymore. I want you to leave. I want to leave your care. And my adopted parents, my dad was, asked me why do I feel this way, and I told him, it's like basically you worship him, you treat him better than me, and like how am I supposed to, feel? You beat me to a pulp, you punish me in the most unusual ways, and I've told them that I've ran away from you. You should have gotten the message when I first ran away that I don't that you don't love me and that I want to leave. You should have realized that by now. And they managed to convince me to go to sleep and that they would call DCF in the morning. What was strange was that when I woke up the next morning and asked, when are we going to call the DCF caseworker and all, and see if we can rescind the adoption, and they just gave me this look, and they were like, "What are you talking about?" And sorry. um, um, so sorry about that. Um, so where was I? Where was it at this moment? Damn it, I forgot. Oh, so yeah, I just thought it was weird because they made promises that. Oh, and I want to back up. Before that morning even happened, and they convinced me, I made them promise up and down the river, so to speak, metaphorically speaking, to they promised that they wouldn't even separate us if say that I was no longer legally their adopted son anymore. So then the morning happened and nothing had changed. I was stuck in their care. Sorry about that. But so I was about 14 when I been in juvenile detention center a lot. I'd get in trouble a lot. And the one time where I was in the juvenile detention center was about like 14. I think it was like 14. Um, I was 14. I think I was 14 years old, probably a little younger. And um, I was expecting to see my adopted dad pick me up. And then instead, I was picked up by a DCF caseworker. Um, I told God that I promised myself that if I was to get out of jail, that I would shape up and I would be nice to my parents and everything. Well, instead, I did get out early, like God. I asked God, but instead, I lost my family. And I guess that would explain one of my first intuitions was I felt that foreboding feeling that I probably wasn't going to see my parents again or my twin brother. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I I guess a part of me was glad that I was finally free, but another most part when I learned that I was when I learned that I was no longer their son and that I freaked out. Like I was trying to smash his windows. Man, I was trying to get the fuck out of that car. Unfortunately, he had the fucking child lock on. Damn. If he would have not had the child lock on, trust and believe, I would have jumped out of traffic and booked it. I would have booked it, and but that didn't happen. Um, I discovered a few days later. I cried for 3 days and 3 nights after discovering that. I also put a restraining order to where I couldn't see my twin brother anymore, and that broke me. I cried for 3 days and 3 nights, and I remember throwing up off and on, but I didn't eat. I didn't even sleep. And when I would sleep, it's because of exhaustion. And I remember feeling like my emotions were shut off. Like I remember being a robot, so to speak. Um, and I remember saying, men don't cry," over and over again. And I had the capacity to be able to kill people. I still do. And that's what frightens me, is that I also see that medically my emotions were stunted. The emotional growth was stunted because my emotions were set down and I had the inability to recognize certain emotions. Um, I gave up fighting. I remember being a bully back before, but when I had this experience, I gave up physical fighting and I rejected God and that religion, partly because of the fact that I was rejected because of my abilities later on in life. But I guess I could say my first reason was because of how I lost my family. And I didn't know what I had until I lost it. And that's the sad truth. I lost everything. A part of me always would want to try to change things in the past. If I know what I know now, I would go back in the past and change it. But at the same time, um, that I wouldn't change it because it would actually change the current me. I would not be the me that I am today. So, um, excuse me. It wasn't until my 16th birthday that I started really getting into witchcraft and the occult and the spiritual aspects. I actually started with herbal remedies discuss to treat my mental illnesses. I did discover that aromatherapy, amongst other natural herbal homeopathic remedies, actually worked better for my autism than big pharma. And I actually went cold turkey when I turned 18 and I left the foster care system um, and transitioned to the extended foster care system. I stopped. I went cold turkey for a year and focused on herbal remedies and stuff. Um, so I kind of feel like my body built up an immunity to all these different big pharma drugs because, according to these, my adopted parents, we were basically walking zombies. We were basically drugged to the point where we were like zombies and couldn't function. So, after I was 18, I ended up in a program that's for mental, emotional, physical disabled adults. I call it adult foster care or extended foster care because that's what I was told it was called. But I'm sure there's a more legal name now for it. And someone had control of my money and helped me get an apartment and whatnot. So I lived on my own pretty well on my own. I actually had to fight to get out of group homes and to get my own apartment because at the same time it was like they were trying to force me to go into these group homes, yet I couldn't live by my own. I couldn't live my own independence. I was always striving to be independent. And so eventually I got my first apartment, which was also my first extraterrestrial encounter, which we'll get into that in a different video. I'm actually leaving out spiritual experiences and just giving you the physical portion because um, I don't want you to get too confused. And the spiritual aspects of what I've learned and discovered are going to be in the spiritual teachings of the Creator. And there'll be videos for that. um, so, I lost that apartment, and then because of mold and rats, I mean, you would not believe molds and rats. I mean, I tell you, um, that was a fucked up, crazy ass place. Um, so I ended up rooming with a roommate of mine from Riverdale Country Day School. Um, and that went sour because I truly believed he was fucking possessed. I really do. I believe there was a demon in that house. I saw the demon, but we'll get into that. We'll get into that story another time. I'm gonna get into too much of into a rabbit hole, and I don't want to get too much into it. But long story short, I got kicked out of there, and I actually left, and was on the streets for a minute, and then found my own new place, and it was with someone that um, I'm trying to get over. I mean, I've gotten over most of it. I still have a little bit left to go with shadow work, and that's between me and Nicholas, and which was my ex roommate. We roommate for a while, but it became a really bad roommate relationship because I was the one buying all the food. I was the one doing the cooking and the cleaning. I was the one doing all the laundry. And he would just sit there, play video games, and there was all this trash everywhere on the floor. And one time he invited these two strangers into our home to live with us. And they had a dog. And tried to tell Nicholas that these two people were gonna make us turn against each other, and they were gonna try to get rid of me first, then get rid of you, so they could take over this part. Um, they could take over the trailer that we were staying in. It was one of those mobile home trailer parks, and where was it? So, long story short, I got pissed off one day, and I was also into black magic at the time, and I made a text saying, "Oh, I was going to kill him with black magic, and I wouldn't have to kill him physically; that I would kill him spiritually." The two people that I invited and texted this to, because these two people were homeless, two homeless. It was a lesbian couple that were homeless, and they had a dog, and I think a cat, and I was trying to help them because Good Samaritan. I was trying to help them um, out, and well, it turned not to be a good decision on my part because they turned against me and they thought I was crazy and I was cracked up all fool, right? Um, so I one day took the courage to go to the um, courthouse because the day before that I overheard him talking to some people, the two roommates that he invited to live with us. Um, and he was telling them that he planned to use his physical ailments to say that I was gonna cut his oxygen cord and choke him with it, and it was just some cracked up crap, full of tomfoolery, like BS. And so, what was weird is that he showed up when I showed up, and I'll get into the spiritual, actually, because there's a lot of spiritual things that happened, that demons and evil spirits for sure, that I don't want to explain in this video. But I know that what I had seen and witnessed on the spiritual aspect, like I can see dead people and all kinds of spirits. So, but it's hard to explain, and I don't want to go into a rabbit hole on that. And so, he came in and basically he cut in front of me, and he was able to get his restraining order in front of the judge first. The judge didn't even. I can guarantee what happened. The judge looked at his and was like, "Okay," but when he didn't even look at mine, right? So it was like a first come first serve. Didn't bother to look at the paperwork or the evidence I had submitted. And when it came down to representing myself in court, the people at the collective courts office refused to allow me to have a phone call. Because you could, if you're disabled, mentally disabled in any way, shape, or form, you could be given the opportunity to be there present on the phone in court. And, I didn't even get a fair trial and fair representation, and as much as I would like to see the court on that just alone, I just don't have the energy to do that right now. I'd rather move on to bigger and better things. Then I had to move down a few trailers down. Mind you, that this trailer park had only one-way street in. You'd have to go down the street, turn around, and then go out the same way you came in. Okay? So there was no way that I could, at the time, move away because I didn't have the money. You see what I'm saying? Like, I was trying to get money to move away so I could respectfully leave and follow the restrictions on the order. I was across the street at a Latino friend's house, because I was discussing my housing situation, and they had like an opportunity for me to work and whatnot, and the guy and the woman, their dog and them that were living with Nicholas, their dog escaped and came over to me, like literally directly to me, and I just had this like telepathic moment with it where it was basically, help me. There are demons in the house. I was like, and I told the dog like telepathically, there's nothing I can do. And I just said, I'm sorry, but I give you my love and my protection. And I did the blessing of Diana and Apollo over the dog, and that was it. That's all I could do. The guy that was in cahoots with Nicholas at the time, he came over, saw me, secured the dog, right? And then I did have a psychic moment where my spirit went into the house. Like, my consciousness left my body, and I was in their house. And what was interesting was I witnessed this. As the guy told Nicholas that I was across the street, Nicholas was going to call the police and try to get me in trouble. And the guy was like, wait a few days. And let him think that, he's in the clear, and then we'll get him. So I'm on my way from the trailer park where I was, because I just got my food stamps and I wanted to go get some food, right? And I was on my way there, and that's when I heard Nicholas outside the outside the trailer and was making a report about me. I unfortunately, when I got arrested, it was at the racetrack. From point A to point B, I was nowhere near. And at the time when he said I was at his place, I wasn't there at all. I was actually just walking past because again, it's a one-way street. I actually respectfully had to walk on the other side of the street because I didn't want to violate that 500 feet rule. Right? So I walked on the other side of the street just to avoid his house. And so I go and I run because it's like, damn, what the fuck, dude? I didn't want to go to jail. And so I ended up going in the forest, and there's actually a dream that you'll find very interesting that happened the night before this, the evening before this. Um, so I go to and I take a shortcut, go to racetrack, and then I'm going to the bathroom. I tell my friends that were there that knew my situation. It was like, Nicholas is starting some bull crap. I'm just gonna hide in here um, until things blow over. The cop shows up at the racetrack instead of going to where the supposed crime happened. So you see where I'm going with this. And mind you, I'm an autistic, mentally disabled person. I was having an autistic mental breakdown because of all this. And everything was caught on camera. No, I did not try to disarm him. None of that actually happened. I went to pray. I was like, hell the fuck no. I went to pray and went to Odin and Freya and all that. And then he wants to tackle me. And I'm here trying to get away, right? I'm freaking out. Like I'm having a fucking autistic mental ass breakdown. Like, and I was just pulling random things from him. I was just trying to get the fuck away, you know, and I couldn't breathe, no, at all. And I was trying to breathe because of how he was laying on top of me, and because he did what was called an illegal chokehold maneuver. And according to what I read, is that chokehold was banned unless they grew violent. Nowhere in the video from the racetrack did I grow violent whatsoever. And then my friend Andrea told us, who, bless her heart, she's like a true loyal soul for sure. She was on the phone with me the whole time. She was with me through the entire roommate experience with Nicholas, so she could back up my story any day and tell you that he was a violent person, a liar, a cheat, all that mega chips. Which, I'm not gonna say it was just entirely his fault. I had my own part. I pulled the trigger by saying, "Oh, I was gonna kill him with black magic," right? And that's me. That was my fault. And I see where I did wrong and where I pulled the energetic trigger that made all this shit happen in the first place. And I could have handled myself better, but you live and you learn. So I end up in jail under false imprisonment, false accusations, and I had mail that was sent to me that was opened and never delivered to me. I had mail that I tried to send Andrea Tullis, which was never delivered and was opened and with stamped with it said address not found, which is bullshit. So as you can see, they were also the Brevard County jailhouse was always tampering with people's legal documents. I actually had documents that were sent to me legally that were tampered with. And it's the crazy thing because when I went to the bubble, I lost everything. I lost all the evidence, everything. It's like they basically took that and got rid of it. And while I was in there, the interesting thing was I got charged with a certain set of charges in the beginning, right? Well, apparently, which I don't like this about the justice system. Apparently, the Department of the where the Florida state prosecutor could change your charges. I got my charges changed 4 consecutive times with the minus the first initial set of charges, and it was crazy. They tried to pin me in several different ways. Then Internal Affairs got involved, and he was trying to get me to say that it was me that I pulled the trigger, and at that point in my life, I started to notice when I would get triggered, autistically. So I could feel the signs energetically. It would be like right here where I'd get all like energetically jumbled, and I noticed that, and I got angry, and I said, the point is, I did nothing wrong. I was simply trying to breathe. And he was basically in the point he said that I got angry, which that wasn't the truth. Let me correct it. I didn't get angry. I basically put my foot down, made it very clear to him in the same manner of tone. I said the point was I was trying to breathe. And if you have any further questions, you can talk to my lawyer. And I was like, let me out of here. So I left. I even tried to make comments like, man, you should really teach your police system how to identify mentally disabled people, blah, blah, blah. And, being mentally disabled, I'm not proud of it. It's something I have to deal with in this life. And that I have to I liked loyal to Lauren. Not at this time. I got a few things in my life that are kind of keeping me tied and busy. So I will that's something I want to do in the future. I actually I did a video previously to this one that kind of explained that I was gonna focus on my life story, in the spiritual teachings that I was taught by spirit and other things, so new knowledge, spiritual knowledge, right? But I eventually will do tarot readings, but they'll be donation based. So you'd have to use the super chat or to use Cash App or Venmo or something like that, or PayPal. But you'd have to do a donation based. But that won't be until later in the future because I want to pay off my property and I want to get a house on my property first. So it's going to be focused on my biography and spiritual knowledge that I want to share to the world. And then I hope I do plan to, when I do get my own house on this property that I'm paying for, and I have this big ass garden, because I get planned to make this big garden and have a nice little. I'm gonna do an above ground pool. I was gonna get one of those and salt water it. So it's saltwater based. And I was gonna get a pond and also get a pond and put a pond in there. But I'll explain that in another video on that. But my point is, as once I do get the house and I get everything situated, I do plan to start doing more tarot readings. I just for now I'm not doing tarot readings as free tarot readings. I will do donation based tarot readings, but not right now. Like a lot of things in my life have gotten me tied up. I actually have a job with this company called My Guru. It's very similar to Kasamba and Purple Ocean, which is a blessing because I worked really hard to get this job. So I need to adjust my schedule, and I don't even know what my schedule is. So I'm trying to figure and kind of balance my life schedule. But we could do some readings. It won't be on this live. It'll be the live stream after that, where we'll help. It's an angel tarot deck, and we can it gives you information about your soul guardian, your moral guardian, and your physical guardian. So it's gonna be super cool. If you want to learn your 3 guardian angels that watch over you in this life, you're more than welcome to visit the next stream after this one. So anyway, so as I was saying, it's just messed up because they by the time you get charged with charges, they wouldn't be the original charges. It wouldn't be what you actually committed. You see what I'm saying there? So how can, like, a lot of the people that are in jail most likely have their charges changed or certain charges dropped, and those charges were like they're charged with completely different charges. Okay, I thought I was gonna sneeze. Okay. Sorry. So yeah. I got out of jail and I decided that I wanted to leave Florida. And I'll get into the spiritual aspect of it, but for some reason, every time that I tried to leave, something would happen to where I wouldn't be able to leave. And on a lunar eclipse, I decided I'd go to Phoenix, Arizona, and then make my way over to Sedona, which fortunately didn't happen. I hoped that I would be able to visit the vortexes and do some healing on my soul. And it didn't happen, unfortunately. Where is I going with this? Okay. So I admit I was in Phoenix for a while. I actually love the weather there. It's hot but not humid. That's the thing I love. I love weather that's not humid but can be hot or cold because I don't like humidity. So where was I going with this? Okay, so I did a DNA test and found my mother, contacted her, right? And my mother called me back, and she even bought a plane ticket for me to leave Phoenix, Arizona, and from Phoenix, Arizona, and leave to go back up to Florida. Then, long story short, I had some stories that she gave me, told me about myself, my brother, blah blah blah. And she didn't like that I was gay or that I believed in things differently than her God, and that I believed differently about the God that she believed in, amongst other things in spiritual beliefs. And she eventually kicked me out. And so I left. I was homeless off and on in a while. And eventually, later on in life, about like, is this 2021? So around July or August, I was taken in by a guy who he ran a NA and AA rescue facility. You know, where you get off the drugs. You know, you go into rehab. It was like a rehab, right? I've been with him on and off, but this last time he and I focused on this. I actually got an application for the Aristocrat Manor I actually paid um my first and second rent, um first and last month's check, rent, deposit, and I paid that in advance, right? So that way, when my application did go through, and I had a spot open, that I would be, I just have to travel, right? So it was about the first or second week. No, if it was the 16th, so there'd be a lot. September, I think the last week of September, there was this guy that didn't like that I was gay, that I made symbols and all that stuff, so angelic stuff, but he didn't understand that stuff. So he did his best to be negative and hateful to me. And he would put on his hands on me more than once. And see, I got my hands put on me, and I'm not someone that's gonna go back to that kind of abuse. And I say, you know what? I ain't gonna put up with this for one more minute. And I said, I'm gonna get my shit and I'm gonna leave. How dare you put your hands on me? So I got my shit and left. Unfortunately, I left at a really nice table that I just loved. I painted that shit, and man, I hope that they use it for whatever it may be. But it was a nice table. I actually repainted the table and everything. It was nice. I mean, very magical table. I assure you. Because I put in like zodiacs and planets and Hebrew letters. I mean, all that. Like, trust me, it was a really cool tale. um, so, where was I? So I left. I left all my paper talismans and stuff, which is fine. And I left. I left, and about 24 hours later, I got a call. I had got a call. 24 hours before that, I got a call saying that, oh, my apartment's ready, blah blah. And I said I would need at least a month to get there. She said she could only hold it for about half the month. So I actually had to check myself in to Circles of Care, and they actually helped me get a Greyhound ticket and everything, and to get up to my new apartment. So I moved in here at the Scott Manor from on August, no, not August, blah, on October 16th of 2021. I've been here ever since. Slowly but surely, I've gotten a decent apartment, got decent furniture, slowly but surely. And I finally have a job now that I love, because I love to help people and give second readings and stuff too. It's just, I love guiding other people on their journeys. Um, because I guess a part of me feels like I'm obligated obligated to help people because I was never helped on my journey. And I think that's one of the reasons why I love being of assistance and serving humanity and helping them in their enlightenment process, because I never was taught by someone else. I had to rely on myself and the angels, gods, goddesses, even demons and the fae and the dragons. So I had to rely on them and me. There was no one else. And I actually think it's cool that I survived this for as long as I did. I mean, there are so many spiritual encounters where I've gone to the astral and soul planes and I almost died multiple times. And thank you, by the grace of God, or whatever it may be, it's pure luck on my end that I didn't die over there, because if I died over there on the astral soul planes, there'd be no way I could come back and tell you my story. So I'm very grateful that I have survived all this magical warfare, so to speak. Um, mm, um, so yeah, I have a job now. My apartment's gonna look like an apartment. I mean, I'm a minimalist, but I want the bare minimum. I want a nice bookshelf, a nice dresser, um, a TV, a couch, a dining room table, a bed, nightstand, decent stuff, right? that makes it look like an apartment. I still got the bathroom. I need to get like a bathroom set for just the bathroom, and then I need to find a dining room table for the living room. But that's pretty much it. Mm, that's pretty much it. I actually have an ayahuasca journey that I'm gonna take, and I'm super excited about that. That's gonna happen this weekend. This weekend on from May 19th through the 21st. I'm so excited. I am very grateful that there was a friend who is in the Vine of Enlightenment group family. I would say family that offered to help me get a ride. I am like so grateful. And I kind of feel like you know how you feel like honest I feel it in my soul. It's hard to explain how you feel the soul, but I feel my soul. And I like feel like I'm ready to release a lot of it's like minor like shadows. Like um there's a lot of miniature shadows that I need to release from my that I have shadows between me and my brother, me and my adopted parents, me and my biological parents, my life, me and Pamela Breast. So it's like I need to release those. And I'm ready to release them. I feel in my soul that I'm ready to release them. And I was like almost about ready to give up because I thought like, man, maybe it wasn't meant to be. Maybe I'm supposed to keep on to these shadows. My soul almost believed that, but I prayed and I asked my spirit guides and the angels to help me get there, and they came through. They came through, and I'm very, 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 very grateful. Um, so I'm very grateful for that. I'm very, 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 very grateful, and because I'm ready. Like I'm ready to release because all this, and then once I get rid of all this, I hope that I'll be able to take 3 cups. Man, it's not. It's like bitter. Like it's like if you. It's like a sour, bitter lemon that it'll make you like mouth dry and pucker. So I gotta steal my nerves. Steal my nerves. Man, I wonder if they could like add some honey or agave nectar to it. I mean, come on, like make it a little sweet. I don't even know if that. I want to try to make ayahuasca medicine, but I have to be. I think I have to become like certified, right? I'm sure there's where a way I could get certified, but I want to be the one that provides the medicine and makes the medicine because but other than that, everything's gone pretty great, pretty great. My future projects is to pay off the property that I'm paying off in Highland, Arkansas. Then to get, and of course, while paying property taxes, which isn't that much if you don't. I'm saying it's not that much. But where's that going with this? Where was it going with this? Um, I plan to get 3 tiny homes on the properties. One of them I plan to just be my art studio where I have my workshop, where I have my soaps, where I make my soaps, where I make my candles, where I um soaps, candles, herbal remedies. It's gonna be a workshop, right? Then there is the first house, which will be my house. My house. Like I'll have my own house. And I do plan to have some solar panels set up on the property. I actually plan to clear out most of the trees because it's going to be turned into a big ass garden. It's going to be fruits, vegetables, uh, melons, cantaloupes, everything, and herbs and spices, flowers. I want to plant ambrosia flowers to honor the great pantheon. Um, to rose bushes and rose bushes, thorny bushes. I mean the thorny ones, because I want to plant them around the perimeter of the property, And then also, in front of the rose bushes, I want to put bamboo behind in front of it. That way, it looks like when you walk into the place, you'll see the bamboo, but on the outermost side of of the property line, you'll have the rose thorn bushes to keep out intruders. And I do hope, and I really hope that nightingales come and live in the rose bushes, because I would totally love to hear the song of the nightingales and to listen to them night and day. Of course, it might get annoying at times, but it's like nature's music, you know? Um, then, where was I going with this? I want to plant like other flowers and stuff, and it's gonna be in a very nice pattern. I'm gonna tell you that. Um, so yeah, I plan to have like in the center of the garden. That's where the pond will be, right? Um, but according, I mean, it's gonna be really awesome. I know what I want on the property, and that's what I'm gonna get. I'm gonna make it work. Um, so there's that. And that's kind of what. And I plan to have a space where I would have a bonfire, like a fire pit, and that way I could do fire rituals and we could do fire walks and stuff. So it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be great. Um, yeah, it's gonna be awesome, awesome. I do want to get some nice koi fish and maybe some other um freshwater fish, and maybe a few chickens. A little hen, a few two hens and a chicken, and a few chickens, and that's pretty much it. It's gonna be a very self-sustaining um community for myself. And then, of course, the third house is just for a guest, or if I might rent it out to people. Um, so there's that. Um, which is going to be awesome in and of itself. So there's that. But that's what I hope to do. Oh, and I am actually working on. I have this May 31st, my driver's license test, my written portion, and so I plan to obtain my that pass that, then pass the driving portion of the test. And my friend Pat has offered to teach me how to drive, because she's going to teach her granddaughter how to drive, and she offered to let me use um, her car to be used during in the driver's test, the driving portion. And that's going to be awesome, because then I can take my the physical portion, pass my driver's license, and save up for for a car, because I want a Ford. I think it's a Ford 350 crew van, and I'm gonna turn that thing into like one of those hippie vans. It's gonna have like a little air mattress, right? Maybe a little TV, some solar power generators. It's gonna be hooked up nicely to where I could live in there, and that and go to Renaissance fairs and psychic fairs and sell my soaps and all that deodorants and um just things like that, and I know it's still got a lot of ways to go, but I'm really excited, because this is gonna happen. It's taken me a very long time, but I have a plan for my life, and this is what I want to create. That I truly want to create, and it is already created. That I've already created it. It's just a matter of playing in the right order, right? So. Eventually, 3 years online, I do want to open up a metaphysical store on the property, or I might buy some other land and have my store there. So I'm super excited about that. So, other than that, that's pretty much what it is, what my life's journey is. I'll let you guys know in the spiritual teachings video how the ayahuasca journey went, and I'm super excited, and also, it's just gonna be so amazing. So anyway, just know you guys are beautiful, powerful warriors, shamans, creators. You're all that in a bag of chips. Much love and blessings on your journey.